Roles have reversed. Brothers and sisters, welcome back to yet another recap of the World Chess Championship match. Ding Liren and Nepomniachtchi. We do have a match. And when I say that, I actually mean it. Okay, fine. I'm not spoiling you the result of the game. Game number 5, Nepomniachtchi with white pieces against Ding Liren World Chess Championship match. 2-2 is the current score. Nepomniachtchi has started the match leading the score and then had an immense and very massive disappointment in the round 4, the last game just before the rest day, which was yesterday. Today, Jan has to come back from a loss to pull himself together and start the work from the very beginning. As Jan said on the press conference, Ding has already run away from him once. e4. Jan starts with white pieces, e5. Knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5. So far we're in Ruy Lopez, Spanish defense. The same opening we had in the game number 1. Now you might ask, but Dina, Jan already started with d4, and then he started with d4 in the third game. Shouldn't Jan start with c4 now? Isn't that a trend to change openings every new game? Well, actually no. Jan's main weapon is e4 and forever has been e4. And the only reason Jan played d4 in the game number 3 was because Jan wanted to test out the Carlsbad for Ding, which actually happened to be pretty solid. So Jan just goes back to the opening where he got the advantage. And let me remind you, in the game number 1, Jan did have an advantage and did not explore it till the end. a6, bishop a4, knight f6, short castle. So far everything is well-known theory. Bishop e7, and now goes a very interesting decision by Jan, which is d3. A smooth approach, very different. Let me remind you that in the game number 1, the move here was bishop takes c6. Now let me remind you that in the game number 1, we had witnessed short castle, bishop e7, and now bishop takes c6. And after pawn takes c6, we got rook e1. Here, whereas Jan chooses this very nice d3, a very solid approach in Spanish, showing that we don't want to have a fast fight. We want to have a long-term play. b5, bishop b3, d6, c3, preparing the square for the bishop if the knight comes to annoy us. Short castle, h3. Another nice move by Jan, which I really like because it protects the g4 square and says, I'm not in a hurry, man. I have all my time needed to regroup my pieces, to develop, to put them exactly where I want. Show me what's going to be your plan. Black goes with bishop b7, and here a4. I really like this idea because it puts the pressure on the queen side. Again, a very typical idea for the Ruy Lopez. Knight a5, and now white has a choice. Should white put their bishop on c2, or should white put the bishop on a2? What would you choose? There are two different plans with each move. If you put the bishop on c2, then you prepare some kind of attack, probably the play on the king's side after d4. Also, you prepare the defense of the e4 pawn after you push the d4. Whereas bishop a2 keeps the knight this diagonal, which is also really nice, and most importantly, takes the control of the d5 square. And you're gonna see later on in the game that the d5 square is the key square. c5, especially after c5, proving my point that d5 is gonna be a major outpost. The typical plan, well, it's also a typical play. A typical plan for Spanish here would be to move the knight to d2 and then to f1 and then to e3 and then come to d5 and occupy the square. Bishop g5. Now this seems familiar. So far, so forth, Jan has been in his preparation. Yet until this moment. h6 comes the first time when Jan, makes his major eyebrows. h6 is a first moment where Jan is, let's say, out of the book, or starts thinking by himself. And yet he finds the very nice idea, which is familiar, as I said, to me, because I play Russolimo. And in Russolimo, if you know what it is, there are some certain ideas which are similar to Spanish. And most importantly, the move here is bishop takes f6 and bishop takes f6. You might ask me, but Dina, why does white just give away like this the bishop against the knight? Okay, I understand the position is closed, but it's going to be open anytime soon at the d5 or c4 or d4. There are so many pawn breaks, meaning that the position will become open, and the bishops might be important. So why? Well, here goes the question. Remember I told you the bishop on a2? You following? You following? The d5 square, the key square. By taking the knight on f6, white takes care of the protector of the key central square d5, and you're gonna see why it was so important. A takes b5, a takes b5, knight d2. Finishing the development, important. We cannot play chess without development, right? Can we? Of course we cannot. Knight c6, Bishop d5. Yes, baby. Bring it. Bring it to me. Bring it here. I want to see the center belonging to this bishop. And the knight, possibly. Rook takes a1, queen takes a1, queen d7, rook e1. So far, the game is going in the direction of white having a slight advantage, but, you know, nothing decisive. Rook a8, queen d1. Obviously, we're not gonna Boda's gambit the queen. Bishop d8. Now, bishop d8 might be the first slight inaccuracy because we don't really know where the bishop goes. Well, at the same time, it's not evident because, like, was bishop really doing something on f6 between two pawns? I'm not sure either. But it happens so that black is getting under more and more pressure. And it's not easy to come up with the moves, you know. Knight f1, remember, I predicted that. Knight e7. Another inaccuracy. Is it? Trading another defender of the d5 square. The only potential initiative black could get would be off the pair of bishops. But now after knight e7, bishop takes b7, queen takes b7, black has only one bishop and a knight against two knights. Believe it or not, but this is a well-known fact. One bishop against a knight is not as strong as two bishops against a bishop and a knight. See the difference? Well, it mostly comes to endgames. It's not like we are in the endgame yet. But wait, you'll see soon. Knight e3, again, another thing that I predicted already. We are going for the d5 square. Bishop b6. Okay, aesthetically, bishop on b6 does look better than f6, but you're gonna see soon what was the problem behind it. h4. Okay, h4 is the move. h4 is the goat move. Why is it the goat move? Well, first of all, did you ever hear me saying about the crab reference? From my lessons with Andrea, I already referenced to that. Whenever you don't know what to do in the position, or you want to improve your position and everything seems to be already perfect, you need to push your pawns from the sides, from both sides. You push them like this and you create space. First of all, you're gonna gain a lot of space and activity in the middle game. But secondly, you're gonna create a potential passed pawn. h4. And if your opponent chooses to stop this pawn, then he's gonna face certain weaknesses such as outposts, and we can see it here, and also the queen pointing to the h5. So h5 is not an option. Here in the press conference, Jan admitted that he was considering two moves, either c4 or h4. But the thing is, after c4, even if the bishop is ugly, it's not evident how you're gonna outplay, whereas h4 is way more flexible. It gives more possibilities. Okay, queen c6, we improve h5, we fix the pawn. Remember, this is gonna be a huge advantage in the endgame. Now, if black tries c4, saying, I wanna activate my only passive piece, right, the bishop, we're gonna go with d4, and girl, we got a center. And the center is the most important thing in the chessboard. E takes d4, knight takes d4. Did I ever tell you the best squares for the knight? Do you remember that? Good, because those are right here. f4, f5, c4, c5. These are the good squares for the knight. Queen c5. Now here, Jan already can seize an advantage with a move such as queen f3. It's different from the move that happened in the game. It's kind of complicated to come up with a move for black because there are several threats. There is knight f5 obviously coming, one of both knights, but there is also e5, and e5 in the case of queen f3 creates a threat on the rook. For instance, if black does the same move that was happening in the game, like queen e5, then we got this really nice knight g4 attacking the queen, and wherever the queen goes away, queen g5, we're gonna go boom, e5, and the rook, and the pawn, and everything is attacked. And let's say you're gonna go with d5, but then I'm gonna go boom, and the queen is not protecting the b5 anymore, so thank you for the pawn. That was very tasty. In the game, Jan goes with queen g4, which is a bit less accurate, because now there is queen e5, and yes, you guessed it correct. Knight cannot jump on the queen, even though we want him to. It's not possible. So here in the game, Jan comes up with this knight f3, but the difference is that queen goes back and we do not have any e5 ideas because on f3 right now we have the knight and not the queen. Knight f5, another key moment in the game. Things are starting to be more and more edgy. Actually here, black is in the more and more pressure. So there are not so many possibilities to keep it safe. One of the options which was really solid here was queen f6. It didn't happen in the game. In the game, black played knight f5. E takes f5. Big question, what to do with the queen? And you know there is a lot of pressure here. You do know that. In fact, here black has only move that keeps it equal is queen d7. You ask me why? Then I'll tell you, okay, let's try to make some moves. Queen f4, for instance. We go back bishop d8. Did I ever tell you that bishop d8 was edgy? Well, that's exactly the reason. Look at the king. Now, what's brilliant with this e takes f5, I need to point it out right here, is that black has a certain problem with the king. The pawn on f5 is so strong that it's gonna play f6 any moment, and the king is now being in danger. We're gonna use the fact that we have 4 pawns against opponent's 3 pawns, which is not the same. So had black played queen d7, let's say do something with queen f4, preparing, who knows, maybe I just want to push the g pawn, and then g5 or f6 any moment, and then we got the open file, and let's go with bishop d8, and then we go queen e4, but okay, there is here this d5, and it seems like, okay, to the computer, did you tell me that you didn't want to see the evil bar? Okay, you don't want to see the evil bar. Well, I'll just show you that. Here the evil bar shows that, okay, white is still better, but nothing decisive. Okay, cutting off the evil bar because I read every single one of your comments, and I know that you don't want to be spoiled, so I remove the bar. In the game goes a mistake, decisive mistake, queen f6. Well, what's the difference? Let's find out. Queen e4. And now, remember, I showed you the same position with the queen on d7, but after queen e4 goes d5. Well, here, my friends, d5 is no longer possible because, I mean, you understand, queen just takes. So what to do? Rook b8, we gotta keep the back rank. We prepare somewhere idea of b4, and now Jan Nepomniachtchi starts to play like a machine. He goes with this prophylactical, beautiful prophylactical maneuver. Sometimes when you want to convert an advantage, you do not have to go with decisive moves, okay? You can start thinking from the other direction. You ask yourself, what does my opponent want? What is the opponent's threat? And the threat is b4. And you're like, okay, but what happens? Okay, let's do some random move, king h1, and then b4, and then we take. But then queen takes b2, all right? So how do we make b4 not possible? And there goes this amazing, amazing rook e2, protecting the b2. And now on b4, thank you for the pawn. Obviously, b4 didn't happen in the game. Ding goes with bishop c5. Now g4 is the reason behind everything, and is the move that Ding Liren admits on the press conference that he has missed. What I really like about this match is that, apart from the fact that for the first time in history, since like a decade or more, we got out of 5 games 3 decisive results. But apart from that, what I really like about this match is that every single victory is like a lesson. It's like a book lesson. Here it shows how to squeeze the advantage out of very tiny things and how to convert it. g4, most precisely, is the move which is against all the principle. We simply don't push the pawns from the king. But how many times did we see that in this match? Can you name the number of games that we saw the g-pawn push in this match? Please do. So, another thing is the exchange sacrifices, but now you know everything about exchange sacrifices. Queen d8, queen d5, king f8, king f1. Jan says my plan is to prepare g5. I try to ask myself, why is king f1 not that precise? Computer prefers king h2. But, okay, then just queen c8? Maybe? But then we go with knight h4 and prepare lots of attacks. If we do the same, king f1, here queen c8 and now knight h4, unfortunately for us, there's just queen d8. King f1, not the most precise, but still a very good practical decision. Rook c8, now goes another beautiful prophylactical move. Okay, once again, we ask the question, what does opponent want? Opponent wants b4. b4 is the only active idea of black. But here goes the rook. The rook goes to protect the c4 square, okay? And then if b4, then we just take, and then bishop takes, and then we take, and then take, and we are pawn up, and we're chilling, and we're winning. So, rook b8, and now g5. g5 is the winning blow. And after h takes g5, here comes another rook, and then the knights, and then goodbye the king. One more beautiful thing about rook e4 is that not only it stops the b4 by attacking the c4, but it also prepares the rook g4 transfer lift. I've analyzed some lines, and I asked myself, here, in fact, instead of rook c8, in the game, there was a way to kind of keep up with equality after queen c8. And if we push the same thing, hg5, then just h takes g5 and knight takes g5 and queen b7. The only move that forces the queen to trade, because if we go away, then just hello, hi, how you doing? Mate in one. Yes, and then we go to the endgame, and then white loses all the advantage. So therefore, king h2 would have been more precise, because if we do the same thing, let's say like in the game happened, let's say rook c8, and then we go with king g3, saying we got all the time. If black repeats rook b8, then we go g5, h takes g5, and now knight h2, preparing knight g4. Let's say g4, but knight takes g4. And if queen g5 trying to lamely activate the queen, then it's beautiful f4 and queen take h5 and rook h2, and the queen is trapped. Now, try to remember everything that happened. I know I talk fast, but look at the position in the game. King f8. Here the difference is that, are you ready? If we go rook c8, just as happened in the game, and now white strikes with g5, there's just h takes g5, and if knight h2, the same thing, then g4, knight takes g4, and queen g5, and the king of f1 is badly placed because we don't have any f4 anymore because everything is attacked. So this is a very tiny, very small detail why king h2 would have been better than the king f1, but I bet it's just not a necessary detail because you know what? When it comes to practice, chess players, even top grandmasters, even 2800s like that, even Ding Liren is not a machine. He's not able, especially under time pressure, and Ding was in the time pressure. Ding Liren is not able to, to come up with the best approach. And he makes another mistake, which is rook c8, rook e4, rook b8, g5, h takes g5, rook g4, and the game is basically over. Here, it's just a question of is white able to convert? We're gonna find out. Rook a8, knight takes g5, rook a1, king e2, saying, I'm not afraid. I'm the warrior king. Queen e7, knight e4, queen e8, king f3. I'm the warrior king. I'm not afraid. I can go anywhere on my own and defend myself because no one's gonna attack me. I mean, look at the queen. Here comes the last moment of hope for white, going for the queen trade. For the endgame. But the thing is, the bishop. Remember? Now it all makes sense. The bishop on f6 would have been protecting the king. But now the bishop on c5. I agree, it's 10 times more beautiful, but it serves nothing. And this is another beautiful example of chess, how you have all the rules, and then you have all the exceptions. And yet another exception for the rule. Yes, bishop is more beautiful, but it doesn't defend. So, you got it. The winning move is f6, baby. And then after g6, thank you for the pawn. You might ask, well, what if the pawn takes? And it's just, okay, I'm taking the knight, and then my pawn comes to the queen. Okay, yes, king e7, on just knight g8, and then bum, bum, and bum. And no, the bishop cannot, just cannot. The man is out of business. Okay, g6, and then h takes g6, f takes g6, rook g6, rook a2. The final and last attempt for black to make white think. White thinks a little bit with 1 hour 40 minutes on the clock and goes for king g4. Well, even king f4 would have been right, but king g4, rook takes b2, rook h6, and you're ready? You're all ready? You're ready for this moment? No, this time I'm not gonna beg you for subscribing because I see how annoying it is. I'm gonna tell you the result of the game, which is also annoying, but the moment have come. Black resigns. Roles have reversed. Jan Nepomniachtchi leads the match again. After a very disappointing loss in the round 4, Jan Nepomniachtchi had to make the job from zero, from scratch again. Having Ding Liren being already completely mentally recovered and yet totally outplaying him. As Ding Liren mentions on the press conference, this loss has been way more painful than the loss from the second match. And I understand him. Ding has recovered. Ding has got used to the World Chess Championship match status. He doesn't have any psychological problems anymore. And he gets outplayed in a pure chess. Isn't that beautiful? Jan, congratulations on your win today. Certainly a very important one. Do you feel like you might have already guaranteed yourself a first place?
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Very nice of you sharing this detail. Thank you so much, Jan, and can't wait to see you here more.
Thank you.
Okay, postscriptum. Why is this winning? Well, this is winning because if bishop takes f2, then mate in 3. Pause the video. Pause the video now, okay? You ready? You found it? Mate in 3. Okay, check. King f7. And the slow move. The power of slow move. There are tons of books like that. King f5. And nothing can stop either knight d6 or knight g5. Checkmate. Well, bishop cannot jump to f4. Would have been beautiful, huh? Bishop jumping to f4. Let's do something. The match has never been so exciting before. I bet you find the exit path.